The gym was quiet in a way that suggested discipline, not emptiness. The floor was clean. The air carried the faint scent of sweat and canvas. Every sound had a place. Muhammad Ali stood near the center of the room, barefoot on the mat, watching his students move, not correcting loudly, not interrupting rhythm. He observed. Young fighters circled slowly, practicing footwork, balance, patience. No one rushed, no one tried to impress. Ali spoke only when necessary, and when he did, his voice stayed low. Again, he said, not as an order, as guidance. The door at the far end of the gym opened without warning. The sound didn't belong. It was careless, loose. A man stepped inside, swaying slightly as he crossed the threshold. He wore a wrinkled jacket, his belt uneven, his movements delayed by a fraction of a second too long. His breath reached the room before his words did. Alcohol. He stopped near the edge of the mat, blinking under the lights as if the room itself were unfamiliar. Then he smiled. Karate, he said, tapping his own chest with 2 fingers. Black belt? His voice carried confidence, but it wasn't earned in that moment. It leaned too heavily on itself. The students froze, unsure whether to move or wait. Their eyes shifted toward Ali. Ali turned slowly. He didn't react with irritation. He didn't raise his voice. He simply looked at the man. You're interrupting, Ali said calmly. The man laughed softly, as if he hadn't heard the tone, only the words. I just wanted to see, he replied. Everyone talks about you. He took another step forward, too close, too casual. Ali raised a hand, not sharply, just enough. Stand there, he said. The man hesitated, then complied, still smiling. The smell of alcohol lingered between them. Ali looked at his students. Stay where you are, he said. No one leaves. He turned back to the man, his expression unchanged. You say you practice karate, Ali continued. Then you should know something. The man tilted his head, amused. What's that? Ali paused, not for effect, but for clarity. Control comes before technique, he said. The room grew quieter, not because anyone demanded it, but because something had shifted. The man's smile faltered just slightly, and in that moment it became clear. This was no longer a disruption. It was a lesson waiting to begin. The man shifted his weight, trying to steady himself without admitting he needed to. His feet found the mat, but not confidently. The softness under him seemed unfamiliar. Ali did not move closer. He did not step back either. He stayed exactly where he was. You're welcome to watch, Ali said calmly, but not to perform. The man scoffed, waving one hand loosely. I don't perform, he said. I end things. A few of the students exchanged glances. No one spoke, no one smiled. Ali looked at them briefly, then back at the man. Karate teaches respect first, Ali said, if you learned it right. The man laughed again, louder this time, but the sound didn't fill the room. It fell flat, landing awkwardly between breaths. Respect? He replied. You think people come here for respect? He took another step forward, uninvited, not aggressive, just careless. Ali raised his hand again, this time slightly higher. That's far enough, he said. The words were not sharp. They didn't need to be. The man stopped, blinking, as if surprised his body had obeyed before his pride could object. Ali turned to his students. Circle up, he said quietly. They moved without question, forming a loose half-circle around the mat. Not defensive, observant. Ali faced the man again. You say you're trained, Ali said. Then you won't mind standing still. The man tilted his head. Why would I do that? Ali met his eyes. Because if you can't stand still, he said, you can't control anything else. The man hesitated. Just a moment. Then he planted his feet wider, trying to appear solid, trying to look prepared. Ali nodded once. "Good," he said. "Now watch." He didn't touch the man, didn't challenge him. Instead, Ali stepped sideways, slow and deliberate, showing his students how little movement was actually required. His feet slid across the mat with ease, balanced, grounded. "Drunken confidence feels strong," Ali said, his voice even. "But it leaks." The man frowned, unsure whether he was being insulted or instructed. Ali lowered himself slightly, shifting his center of gravity without effort. "You don't need to strike," he continued. "You need to arrive before the strike." The students watched closely now. This wasn't a lecture. It was a demonstration waiting for its moment. The man rolled his shoulders, suddenly aware of his own imbalance. The room no longer felt forgiving. Ali looked at him one last time before turning back to the class. "Pay attention," he said. "This lesson isn't about him." He paused. "It's about what happens when discipline meets noise." And with that, Ali took one calm step forward. Not toward conflict, but toward clarity. Ali stopped a few steps short of the man, close enough to be present, far enough to remain calm. He didn't square his shoulders, didn't take a stance that looked like a challenge. Instead, he turned slightly sideways, showing his students how the body could relax without becoming vulnerable. "Watch his feet," Ali said quietly. The man looked down instinctively, then back up, annoyed that his attention had been guided so easily. Ali continued speaking, not to him, but through him. "When the mind is late," he said, "the body arrives early and leaves wrong." He took one slow step, then another, demonstrating balance. Each movement was small, almost modest, yet nothing about it was uncertain. The man shifted again, his weight moving ahead of his upper body. A fraction too much, a fraction too soon. Ali noticed, so did the students. Ali extended one hand, palm open, not touching the man, just close enough for him to feel it. "Right here," Ali said softly. "This is where you think strength begins." He lowered his hand slightly. "But this," he continued, "is where it actually ends." The man swallowed, suddenly aware of his own breathing. It had become louder than the room. Ali took a step to the side. The man turned to follow him, but his feet lagged behind his intention. Ali didn't exploit it. He let it exist. "Control," Ali said, "is quiet." He demonstrated by stepping behind the man's shoulder line, not invading space, not threatening, just showing how easily angles could be taken. The students leaned forward slightly without realizing they had moved. Ali raised one finger. "See how he turns?" he asked. "Not because I pushed him, because he's chasing." The man stopped moving, realizing too late that he had been following without choosing. Ali stepped back into view, restoring the distance. "No strikes," Ali said calmly. "No pain." He looked directly at the man now. Just awareness. The man's confidence drained slowly, not dramatically. It didn't collapse. It softened. Ali turned back to his students. "Technique without clarity is just noise," he said, "and noise always loses to patience." He gestured gently toward the man. "This is what happens when training leaves the body, but discipline leaves the mind first." The man opened his mouth to speak, then closed it. For the first time since he had entered, he didn't trust his words to land where he wanted them. Ali met his eyes once more, not sternly, not kindly, clearly. "And that," Ali said, "is the lesson starting to work." Ali stepped away first, not because he had finished, but because distance was part of the lesson. He walked toward the edge of the mat, his movements unhurried, and motioned for his students to shift slightly. They adjusted without confusion, forming a wider arc. Not defensive, attentive. The man stood where he was, suddenly unsure of how much space he actually occupied. His earlier confidence had not disappeared, it had thinned, like something diluted. Ali turned back to him. "You don't look dangerous," Ali said calmly. "You look distracted." The words were not meant to embarrass. They were meant to land. The man forced a smile, but it didn't hold. His eyes moved around the room, checking for reactions that weren't coming. Ali lowered himself to one knee, slowly, deliberately, as if the mat deserved respect. He placed one hand on the floor, fingers spread. "Look," Ali said to his students, "balance doesn't come from standing tall." He shifted his weight forward slightly, then back, demonstrating how little movement was required to stay centered. It comes from knowing where you are when nothing pushes you. He stood again and gestured toward the man, not inviting him closer, not sending him away. "Now you," Ali said. The man hesitated. "Just stand," Ali added. "Don't pose." The man tried to comply, planting his feet shoulder-width apart, but his knees locked. His shoulders rose too high. Ali noticed everything. "You're bracing," Ali said. "That's not readiness. That's fear pretending to be strength." A few of the students shifted, understanding before explanation. Ali stepped closer again, stopping just outside the man's reach. "I won't touch you," Ali said, "but you'll still feel it." He moved, not suddenly, not sharply, but enough to change the angle between them. The man adjusted late. Too late. Ali didn't capitalize. He paused. "Did you feel that?" Ali asked. The man nodded, almost involuntarily. "That," Ali said, "is timing leaving you." Ali stepped back once more, giving the man space to recover his posture. "You came in loud," Ali continued, "because you thought volume carried authority." He looked around the room briefly, then back. "But real authority doesn't need an audience." The man's shoulders lowered slightly. His breathing slowed, not because he chose it, but because the room demanded it. Ali turned to his students again. "Training is not about winning moments," he said. "It's about removing the moments where you lose yourself." He faced the man one final time in this exchange. "You didn't come here to fight," Ali said. "You came here to be seen." The man didn't argue. Because for the first time since walking in, he knew it was true. The man took a slow step backward, not retreating, repositioning. His feet searched for certainty, but the mat no longer offered it easily. The alcohol that had earlier made him careless now made him late. Ali did not follow. He stood where he was, hands relaxed at his sides, letting the moment settle on its own weight. No pressure applied, no pursuit. "This is where most people panic," Ali said calmly. "Not when they're threatened, when they're exposed." The man swallowed and nodded once, not in agreement but in recognition. His chest rose and fell unevenly. He was aware of his body now in a way he hadn't been when he walked in. Ali turned slightly toward his students. "Notice something," he said. "He hasn't been struck. He hasn't been challenged." He paused, but he's already lost control of the room. The man let out a short breath, almost a laugh, though there was no humor in it. "I didn't mean any harm," he said. The word sounded smaller than he intended. Ali looked at him, not sternly, not sympathetically. "Intent doesn't protect you," Ali replied. "Awareness does." He stepped forward again, just one step, enough to remind the man how quickly space could change. The man stiffened instinctively. Ali stopped. "You see," Ali said, "I haven't done anything." The man nodded again, more clearly this time. Ali turned back to the class. "This is why discipline matters," he said. When someone brings chaos into a room, you don't match it. You let it reveal itself. The man straightened, adjusting his jacket, trying to reclaim something of his earlier confidence. It didn't return. "I should go," he said quietly. Ali didn't answer immediately. He waited until the words had fully settled. "That would be wise," he said. The man hesitated, then added, almost reluctantly, "You teach differently than I expected." Ali met his eyes. "Most people expect noise," he said. "They don't expect clarity." The man nodded one final time and stepped toward the door. His movements were slower now, more careful. Before leaving, he turned back briefly, not defiant, not embarrassed. "Thank you," he said. Ali inclined his head slightly. Nothing more was needed. As the door closed behind the man, the gym returned to its natural rhythm. Breathing steadied, postures relaxed. Ali looked at his students. "That," he said quietly, "is why we train." The lesson was almost complete. The door closed softly behind the man, and the sound settled into the room without echo. Not abruptly, not dramatically. It simply ended. For a moment, no one moved. The students remained where they were, their bodies still aligned in the loose arc Ali had asked for earlier. No one spoke, no one asked questions. Ali stood quietly at the center of the mat, letting the silence do its work. "This is the part people misunderstand," he said at last. His voice was low, steady, carrying no sense of conclusion yet. "They think strength shows itself when someone leaves." He turned slowly, making eye contact with each student one by one. "But strength shows itself in what stays." He walked to the edge of the mat and sat down, not above them, not apart from them, among them. "The man didn't lose because he drank," Ali continued. "He didn't lose because he talked too much." He paused. "He lost because he didn't know where he was standing." The students listened closely now, not as fighters but as people absorbing something larger than technique. Ali placed one hand flat on the mat. "This floor doesn't care who you are," he said. "It doesn't care what belt you wear or what stories you tell." He pressed his palm down gently. "It only responds to balance." One of the students shifted slightly, understanding without needing explanation. Ali stood again and motioned for them to resume their positions. "We don't train to dominate," he said. "We train to remain clear when someone else isn't." They began moving again, slow footwork, controlled breathing. No rush, no display. Ali walked among them, correcting posture here, adjusting distance there. His touch was light. His words were few. The gym returned fully to its rhythm, but something had changed. Not in the space, in the people. At the far end of the room, the door remained closed. The man did not return. He didn't need to. The lesson had already left with him. Ali stopped once more and looked across the room. "Remember this," he said quietly. "You don't need to raise your voice to be heard." He paused. "And you don't need to strike to teach." The students nodded, not all at once, but naturally, as understanding reached them individually. Ali stepped back, allowing the room to breathe on its own again. The training continued, calm, measured, complete.